Welcome to the Mind Spark, bringing you the latest news from around the world. A seismic shift is redrawing the energy map of North America. For decades, the US and Canada enjoyed a stable energy partnership built on pipelines and trust, with Canadian oil flowing south. That era is over. A great energy divorce is underway, driven by politics and economics. Canada is now sending its oil across the Pacific, not just south to the US. Just a few years ago, 97% of Canadian oil exports went to the US. Now, it's below 75% and falling. This is no accident. Canada has invested billions to break free from dependence on a single customer. For the US, it's a loss of secure, discounted energy. For Canada, it's a bold move for economic sovereignty. American refineries built for Canadian crude are scrambling for alternatives. Canada is forging new alliances in Asia, while the US faces higher costs and less security. This story is about the end of an old alliance and the birth of a new global energy order. Let's explore how this historic shift happened and what it means for the future. To grasp today's upheaval, we must remember the deep partnership that came before. For nearly a century, the US and Canada were inseparable energy allies, joined by geography and a vast network of pipelines. Canadian oil fueled American growth, while the US provided a guaranteed market and security. American refineries invested billions to process Canadian crude, creating a mutually beneficial system. Canadian oil was seen as almost domestic, reliable, accessible, and from a friendly neighbor. This deep integration made the partnership seem unbreakable. That's why its sudden unraveling has been so shocking. The alliance began to fracture under the America First doctrine. The Trump administration imposed tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum, hitting energy infrastructure hard. For Canadian producers, this was a betrayal. Costs soared and trust eroded. The final blow, the cancellation of the Keystone XL pipeline, a vital project for Canadian oil. With pipelines blocked, Canadian oil was trapped and sold at a steep discount. Billions were lost, and the price gap with global oil widened. Canada realized it could no longer rely on a single, unpredictable customer. America First policies forced Canada to adopt a Canada First strategy. The search for new markets became urgent, no longer a choice, but a necessity. The US lost a trusted partner. Canada set out to secure its own future. The old foundation of mutual benefit was gone. A new era had begun. Blocked in the south, Canada turned west, toward Asia. The Trans Mountain Pipeline, TMX expansion, completed in 2024, tripled capacity to the Pacific. Now, hundreds of thousands of barrels flow daily to Vancouver, then to Asia. In 3 years, Canadian oil exports to Asia surged 400%. Asian nations like China, India, and South Korea are signing long-term deals for Canadian oil and LNG. The new LNG Canada terminal in Kitimat opened a second front, shipping natural gas to Asia. Canada has broken the American monopoly on its oil, gaining options and leverage. The North American energy map has been redrawn. The US Midwest is feeling the pain. Refineries in Illinois, Minnesota, and Ohio were built for cheap Canadian crude. Now, as oil flows west, these refineries scramble for expensive, less reliable alternatives from Mexico or Venezuela. The secure pipeline supply is gone, replaced by risky tanker shipments. America First policies, meant to protect jobs, now threaten them. Higher costs and lower throughput put thousands of refinery jobs at risk. The US has lost its leverage as Canada demands world prices. America is now a price taker, not a price setter. The result, less secure energy, higher costs, and diminished influence. The US is paying the price for its own protectionism. The energy landscape has shifted, permanently. For Canada, the pivot to Asia is an economic windfall. No longer forced to sell at a discount, Canada commands global prices, fueling investment and jobs. Canada's geopolitical standing has risen, becoming a key supplier to Asia. But the strategy brings risks, huge infrastructure costs, environmental opposition, and new dependencies. Protests and political divisions have erupted at home. Canada now relies on Asian demand, vulnerable to slowdowns or conflict. The global shift to renewables looms, threatening long-term demand for oil. Canada must use today's wealth to prepare for a cleaner energy future. The pivot is a gamble, with high stakes. For Asia, Canada is a game-changer. Asian economies, long dependent on the unstable Middle East, now have a stable, democratic supplier. Canadian oil and LNG offer security, bypassing global flashpoints. Asian refiners are adapting to Canadian crude, signing long-term contracts. This new partnership increases competition, moderates prices, and deepens economic ties. Canada's role in Asia is growing, giving it a stronger voice in regional affairs. The Pacific Energy Corridor is now a strategic link. In a volatile world, Canada is a reliable ally for Asia's future. Experts agree. Canada's pivot is a permanent realignment, not a passing phase. Billions invested in pipelines and LNG terminals have locked in new trade routes. Long-term contracts and retooled Asian refineries make reversal nearly impossible. The U.S. can't simply restore the old order. The infrastructure and relationships are set. North America is now part of a global energy market, not a closed system. The U.S. faces higher costs and more competition for heavy crude. Canada is more exposed to global price swings and Asian demand. The era of a continental energy fortress is over. Energy security now depends on diversification and global access. The deck has been reshuffled for good. Canada's energy pivot is a lesson in unintended consequences. America First policies broke a century-old partnership, pushing Canada to global markets. The U.S. faces higher costs and less influence. Canada gains wealth and risk. Asia gains security. The energy divorce has reshaped global markets and alliances. Canada's fossil fuel boom is a window of opportunity, but the world is moving toward renewables. The challenge: invest today's gains in tomorrow's clean energy. National energy strategies have global impacts on jobs, security, and the environment. The North American energy divorce is a cautionary tale, and a story of adaptation in a changing world.